good to go? We all good? All right, don't forget to bring me in as a caller, all right? 3, 2, 1.
Okay, what's up, everybody? This is Locked On East at 447-8829 radio station. Today, we will be going down each position on ranking them from worst to best in the AFC East. Each position in order from quarterback, running back, wide receivers, tight ends, O-line, D-line, cornerback, safety, linebackers, head coaches, any position you can think of besides the special teams and stuff. My name is Dylan Sate. This is Toby Galubut, and this is Jake Rosenstein. Rothstein. Okay. Now, who is the worst quarterback in the AFC East?
The worst quarterback in the AFC East, in my opinion, has to be Mac Miller. Just
Mac Jones.
Mac Jones, whatever. And because, comparing him to Josh Allen, which probably the best quarterback in the AFC East with Tua and then Aaron Rodgers. Just his stats are just horrible, and with his team, it's just the Patriots are just horrible altogether.
Yes, I do agree with that. But don't you remember that he placed third in his Rookie of the Year voting in his rookie season? I do agree with you, though.
And you can't also blame him as much because he doesn't have as many wide receivers and even a good run game as maybe the Dolphins and the Jets do. And we haven't even seen Aaron Rodgers play for the Jets.
Yeah.
He could be horrible on it. But again, I still agree with Mac
As
Jones.
of right now, I agree with Mac Jones. So we're going to write Mac Jones down. Also, Mac Jones had Matt Patricia as his offensive coordinator last year. So who is third?
I think the third best will go to Aaron Rodgers because he's getting older, and as we've seen him with the Packers last year, he hasn't been as can't run that much, and he hasn't been exactly as good throwing the ball or even just making some easy passes that he should make. And he's honestly going towards the end of his career and about to retire.
Yes, I agree, but it's very close between him and Tua. I do agree with Aaron Rodgers, though, being the third best. If Tua could stay healthy, this wouldn't even be close. But it's even close just because Tua can't stay healthy. So I put Aaron Rodgers at 3.
I also agree with that, mainly because Aaron Rodgers has good throw power, but just like he said, he's getting old and he can't run, and sometimes his throws don't have good power. He underthrows it and doesn't have speed, and also he's just getting old, so his arm's getting worse and worse over time.
Okay, who is second? I think it's pretty easy for me. I think it's Tua Tagovailoa. It's pretty obvious there. If you have Mac at fourth there, and then you have Rodgers, and then it's pretty obvious it's between Josh Allen and Tua. And I think Tua is the clear second there behind Josh Allen. Look, Tua, he's a great passer. He's not running. Whenever I watch Tua run the ball, he never slides. I literally never see him slide. He's a very accurate passer, and I still do think the Dolphins should have took Justin Herbert over him, but he's not a bad pick in that 2020 draft class, of course. Tua is a good player when he's on the field. So Tua.
I think the second worst is actually Josh Allen because Josh Allen, we've seen him blow away and is absolutely, completely sell in the postseason. We saw him lose against the Chiefs. It wasn't totally his fault. He didn't play the best, though, last year. And then this year, again, we saw him blow the playoffs again against Cincinnati on his own home field.
Yeah, but you have to remember, Tua has yet to play in the playoffs yet. The Dolphins did make the playoffs this year, but because of injury, he did not play, of course, because he's always injured.
And when Tua was in,
he's not better than Josh Allen.
You know?
Josh Allen is inconsistent, but when he's consistent, he is good. He's insane. He's a great runner. He has a cannon of an arm, and he's very, very accurate with that cannon of an arm. Every single game I watch Josh Allen play, there's always a big cannon to Stephon Diggs in the movie.
Okay.
That's why I have Josh
the
Allen.
thing you have to have in the AFC, in the NFL really is you just have to be consistent. You can never be inconsistent, or else your team will lose a couple games.
Okay, but don't forget that Josh Allen is also crabby because when things don't go his way, he gets mad. Because that time during the off season when when one of his teammates bumped him at training and there's this whole fight going on, that's also one of Josh Allen's big things that he messes up on. He gets mad when things don't go his way.
Yes, I know. All right, now we're going to move on to the running back position. But before we do that, I want a question from the audience here. All right, can somebody pick up quickly?
Hi, how's it going? My name is Zach. I'm from South Florida. I'm a huge fan of the show. First time caller. I listen to you guys every day when I drive to work. My question, you talked about the AFC East quarterbacks. Who do you think's the best backup? Do you think it could be a Mike White or maybe Case Keenum or Bailey Zappi? Do you think any of those guys are good at all?
My opinion? I honestly think it's either Mike White or Zach Wilson. That's just me. I think Zach Wilson could end up being a decent backup in the NFL for his career. Or maybe even be a decent starter if he can learn under Aaron Rodgers the right way. But for me, I think it's what's his name? Zach Wilson. Because people give Zach Wilson too much hate at this point. He's not a great quarterback, but he's still developing.
I'm going to go with Bailey Zappi because we saw him when Mac Jones was hurt. He won. He shut out the Lions. They won all the games that he was in. And that was only in his rookie season. And he still has a ton of time to let him develop. When Zach Wilson, we already see him, and he's coming into his third or fourth year. Third year. And he's still playing at the same level when he still came into the league. Which is still worse than Bailey Zappi.
And you've heard what Aaron Rodgers has said at these mini camps and these OTAs recently. He's saying Zach Wilson has developed just in this off season. He's developed as a passer and a runner, and making right decisions. That's what Aaron Rodgers has said. Coming from a veteran quarterback in the league, that's something to say and something for Zach Wilson to take seriously.
Toby, what are your thoughts on this?
My thoughts are that I think Zach Wilson is a great backup quarterback because if he could get trained from Aaron Rodgers, he could even be promoted to the starter, and Aaron Rodgers could be the backup. But don't forget, he's also Zach Wilson's also getting a lot of hate from that rumor that happened with one of his friend's moms, from that one rumor.
Yeah.
And so that's also one of the reasons why, in my opinion, he shouldn't be a starter, but unless he could follow in the footsteps of Aaron Rodgers. And after Aaron Rodgers retires, I think he could get promoted back up to starter and become a great QB.
All right, now let's move on to the running back position. Who is the worst running back in this division? I think it's an easy one for me. I think it's Raheem Mostert / Jeff Wilson. That's my opinion. I just think Raheem Mostert, he can be explosive. But it's either he's going to run for 90 yards a game or he's going to run for 4. That's the thing. And that's why the Dolphins got Jeff Wilson, because he's a consistent, when he's starting, he's a consistent 40 yards per game. And that's why I think the Dolphins should go after Dalvin Cook, because there's nobody that's just good enough. There's nobody you. Who's in that room? You have Savon Ahmed. You have Devon A-Chain, who I think could be a future star. That was a big steal by the Dolphins. Jeff Wilson and Raheem Mostert. And Myles Gaskin's still free agent. We will not bring him back, according to Mike McDaniel. But, yeah, that's my opinion on that. I'm going to put Raheem Mostert on my list as the worst.
For my worst, I'm also going to put Raheem Mostert because we've seen him last year. He's had 7 rushes for only 21 yards, and he hasn't had that much outburst of good runs. Just only 2-3 yard runs. That's why during most of the year they've had to turn to Jeff Wilson. They had to trade for him. They had to trade for some guys. Even give the load to some other guys to get away from Mostert because he just wasn't playing that well. And he also was getting past his prime and going to his later years.
Yeah, he's getting a little older, Mostert too. At number 3, I have James Cook. And you don't know why I have him there? Over Mostert? It's because of his potential. I think this guy has a lot of potential to be a top 15, maybe even a top 10 back. But as of right now, he had to sit behind Devin Singletary. This year, they did sign Damian Harris, but I think he goes into that number 1 role this year, James Cook. Damian Harris is just kind of there. Damian Harris was a top prospect who people could say could be the best back, future Hall of Famer, when he was coming out of high school. He seems to be a decent backup back, Damian Harris, but I don't see him as the starter in Buffalo.
Yeah, I agree with you guys. I think Raheem Mostert is the worst, mainly because he's only good for those 4 or 5 yard runs that are like when they're super close to the first down line, and that's the only thing he's good at. Mainly, he doesn't run for 50 plus yards a game. He runs for like 40, 45 yards, and he only runs for like touchdowns, and we usually pass it to we usually pass to Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle, so he hardly gets any time. And plus, our O line is just not that good, except Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle. That's the only thing that they could they need it. Raheem Mostert needs help from the O-line if he wants to get far, and he needs to have a good build. For our O-line, we need to make space for him. We usually can't do that. They usually get past us for the quick and easy tackle. But if they're improving over the offseason, then they could obviously help and make space for Raheem Mostert to get those yardage.
Yeah, and also it might change if Dalvin Cook comes to one of these teams. I've seen rumors about Dalvin Cook for all 4 teams in this division. But moving on to the next one, I have Ramondre Stevenson. And it's because this guy is a powerful back. Like, there could be like 4, he can break anybody's ankles, and he can just ram through you. He can ram through some sort of star linebacker like Von Miller in a second. This guy, he's got a massive stiff arm. This guy is not explosive. He's just gonna I see Derrick Henry potential in this guy. Not like Derrick Henry. He plays like Derrick Henry. He's never gonna be as good as Derrick Henry, but this guy could be a top 10 back in the league. A very young group of running backs in this division, except for Raheem Mostert, but I have Ramondre Stevenson too.
At my third, I'm gonna put Devin Singletary and Zach.
He's not in there.
Oh, all right, Zach Moss, because we've seen even last year when it snows so much in Buffalo and they get really bad conditions, and we've seen them when they have to rely on their running back room. Sometimes they just can't, and then that was maybe the even reason why they lost the AFC divisional round, because they just could not run the ball when it was completely snowy and stormy outside.
That's
And
James
you're going to be
Cook.
able to need to...
James Cook is Buffalo. We put him at 3. Mostert's 4. And I have Ramondre Stevenson at 2. Any changes to that number 2 spot between Brees Hall and Ramondre?
I wouldn't change anything except in my opinion, I would put Zach Moss, because
Zach Moss is on the Colts.
Oh, my bad. James Cook.
Over
Because-
Ramondre?
Over Ramondre, because he's on Buffalo, right? Yeah. They have really bad weather there. They're in New York. So, they can't run the ball in very snowy weather and during rainstorms.
It's like that in New England though too. But think about early in the year. We don't talk about weather. That has no factor. The weather's unpredictable. That has no factor in anything. But at my number 1 spot, it's pretty obvious. It's Brees Hall. There's no question. Dalvin Cook would be the one if you were to go to one of these teams. But why would the Jets go after Dalvin Cook? I see why the Bills would and the Patriots and the Dolphins would. But Brees Hall, this guy is explosive. He is versatile. He can catch passes. He can do it all.
I agree with you on that. Ramondre Stevenson, he's a great back. Patriots, he has carried them when they have relied on them. At the times, those are the reason why they won almost more the games than they should have. And the one doubt that I have with Brees Hall is in week 7 of your rookie season, getting a torn ACL. It's kind of concerning because who knows what worse injuries could come up in your first season if you tear your ACL on your rookie year.
All right, we're going to move on to wide receiver 1 now.
Ooh, just got a word from our station. It sounds like we're gonna have to go to break right now and finish up later. You want to toss us to a commercial break?
Okay. Commercial break.
Now a word from our sponsor, State Farm.
State Farm. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
Good job, dudes. That was a good ad lib at the end.
Be quiet.